2020. Thank you so much, Carrie. Talking about smiling at fear, and this is the book. Was there anybody, let's start here, anybody, we're going to be reviewing this book starting with chapter 1 today. Was there anyone who needed the chapters but didn't get them? Because I have them in a PDF form. I copied it from archive. And if you need it, would you write to me in the chat and I will send it off to you. I've just sent it off to someone else. I do know that several of you had the book, several of you got the chapters from the email. But if you don't have it, didn't get it, please, because that way you can follow along with us. And I would, it's my preference because I think there's some learning in the visuals, even of the words as well. So last week we did, everybody get the instructions. I sent instructions for what I wanted you. Libby's given me the creepy look. What's that creepy look? All right, Libby remembers the instructions, which counts for something because she just went, ugh. What were the instructions, Lib?
So we were supposed to drop in several times a day.
Dropping in several times a day. Everybody remember the practice we did? We really are focusing right at the very beginning of the Theravada school. Once again, we're not in just open spacious awareness right now, are we? Doesn't mean you don't get to rest there. So we don't want to make these strong distinctions between well, there's this kind of practice and that kind of practice. It's actually not true. So I want to start there. It is, however, true that there are different benefits, different skill requirements, right, to these different practices. And I'm asked last week that we begin again at the very beginning, really doing what we might call breath awareness practice. Some people would say abiding the breath. Greg would say shamatha practice because that is a correct term. Everybody, particularly those who have practiced for a while. Kathy, you've had some practice. Does that all make sense so far? Yeah. So we're going back to the breath as an object. In the open, spacious, luminous awareness practice, we really don't attend to any object. We have already recognized the reality of objects, right? In their true nature, impermanent, coming and going, nothing stable, nothing solid. Not only the objects that you can see, hear, smell, taste, touch, or know, but the object of this idea then, or concept of what? Me. Nothing solid there, nothing permanent here, right? And then we get a little goosebumpy, don't we? Then we get a little of that queasy tenderness that Chogyam says is a part of this very being alive. This being alive. And I want us to hang on to that because we spend a lot of time, don't we all, trying to get away from that truth, don't we? Every one of us does it. Scrolling, shopping, drinking, right? Busy, binging, whatever thing, right? That's all of us then in our addictive patterns. Some might call that then maybe words like strategies, often unconscious, right? Which is why strategy is a hard word for us. Because like, I didn't mean that. I didn't intend that. I just keep doing that. So those strategies are all in relationship to our basic, essential human vulnerability, right? Nobody, we all know this, don't we? Everybody look at all those names on your screen and then at those people. Is there anybody who can avoid it? Anybody? See anybody there? Have you ever seen anybody anywhere? You have not. Have you mistaken this? You have. Yes, you have. You've gone, well, I don't know. Kind of looks like it's going on for them, right? Kind of looks like they got it all together. They got a partner. They got 50 years. They got a nice house. They have a nice garden. Do you know who I'm talking about? Anybody? Can you pick this up yet? Right. She's got cool hair. I don't know. She's got cool earrings. Looks like she's got it together. Well, this is insane, right? Because what? The truth of being human means I too, right, will suffer. I too will become confused. I too will get greedy, right? That this is a part of this life. By itself, this is not our inherent problem, is it? So then, if it's true of us all, even someone who has a lot of practice, even the greatest masters, by the way, we know a little about Chogyam, don't we? We know a little too much about Chogyam, actually. We know that Chogyam fell, I would say, as brilliant, as articulate, as clear as he was from all those years of monastic practice. He came from a long lineage, by the way, of beautiful, precise, clear teachers. Chogyam was an addict of everything, and he was, right? And so we have to then recognize our humanness in the face of the path as an aspect of the path. Nobody, I don't care who they are, Joko included, right? My teacher, John Kabat-Zinn included. John, I'll tell you a funny story. John actually lied to a group of 100 mindfulness teachers deliberately. He knew he was lying. He lied. He didn't want to say, I forgot the arms in the body scan. And so when someone raised their hand, these 100 mindfulness teachers at Mount Madonna in California, and said, that was interesting, except I normally do the arms. Don't you do the arms too? And he said, I decided not to today. That was the first thing out of his mouth. I just decided not to do it. Oh, well, it could, right? Possible, because there's no one body scan, if any of you have done it, better than another, right? So we went, oh, that's right. It was Saki Santorelli, his co-teacher, who later said, John has something to say. It was like he got called out. And he said, I forgot the arms. I just simply forgot them. I've done probably at that time 25 years of body scans. And he was so taken by the scenery. He was so taken by the commitment, by the way, of those 100 participant teachers who were just beginning, right? And by the way, human, right? Is anybody going, that was horrible? Right? The infinite harm. No, right? Human. And well, here's our concern, and we're going to be looking at this a lot. The truth is that still is the seed, isn't it? The seed of the ego, right there. It's not to be judged. It isn't to be harsh. It isn't to be condemned. However, it is to be understood, right? It is to be looked at closely. It is to be moved up to. And when we are in shame, when we are in blame, when we are in judgment, what else, right? What do? We run, don't we? We run. We run the other way. We run from ourselves. We run from others, right? We shut down. We lose contact with this precious life and those in it. We disconnect. And then we, what? What do we do then? Suffer, Libby just said. Isn't it true? And that gives me tears in my eyes because I know the truth of suffering. And I also know its possibility for ending. And then I get sad, not angry, not condemning, just sad for us. Because if we don't have ourselves, each other, and the teachings, says all suttas, all spiritual texts, we will simply suffer, right? Then we're essentially lost in the suffering. And I don't want that for me. I don't want that for you, right? And so we're going to practice and continue to practice together with these very difficult topics, then, like fear. Now, fear is not of the easiest sort, is it? Fear will require already existing commitment, right? Because who likes it doesn't feel good. It rattles the cage. It shakes the mind. You may not sleep as well. It's true, right? I'm looking at just to make sure that we have everything we need. Okay. Does this make sense to everyone? So that's why Chogyam used the title that he did. He was actually quite eloquent, amazingly eloquent for being raised in Tibet and India, and a little bit in Nepal as well. He was his English was really stunning, and so he did not make common mistakes around languaging. So as we're looking at his language today, we will remember two things. One, he's a very articulate and eloquent master of the English language. So he is not saying it because he forgot something. And he was writing and saying this in the 60s and 70s. And so there'll be some language, as I have said before, that'll go, well, that's a weird way to say that, or that's funny or old, right? But we're going to, okay. So we did the uh, abiding practice. Did everybody do the abiding practice for some amount of time? Yes, you probably have enough practice, all of us, that whether you sat down formally and crossed your legs or you didn't, many of us don't anymore, having something to do with age and knees and stuff like that, right? So whether you were in a chair, I said last week, right? Whether you were standing, sitting, lying, or walking, that is the instruction. Taking time throughout the day. I have asked this Sangha consistently to try for at least, right, around 13 minutes. Well, we try for 10, right, recognizing that maybe we can't quite get to 13. Why? Because the research says that 13 minutes a day of abiding the breath and body awareness practice will actually continue to condition and change the neurocircuitry of the mind. Oh, it might be worth those extra 3 minutes, right? From my point of view, it's worth it. You're growing telomeres, you're growing dendrites, you're growing pathways that at 10 minutes, we don't have quite the instrumentation probably to measure that, right? But it is 13 minutes that we've got wired as kind of a good conditioning minimum for your daily practice, abiding breath and body practice. We're doing it specifically because we're going to be turning towards other objects of body, objects of mind, objects of the heart, or sometimes called feeling tones or emotions. And those uh, aggregates. Anybody heard that word? Kathy, I know for sure you have. Courtney, I know for sure you have, right? I'm not sure who else, but right, Greg, very likely as well, right? So aggregates being parts of a whole, parts of a whole. Why would we then, before we start to sit, why would we then want to use the aggregates of the body and body sensations, of the breath and breath sensations, of thoughts as thoughts, and then feeling tones and emotions as feeling tones, rather than turn directly towards this big tangle, this big, right, overwhelming experience, we could say, called fear. And then we'll sit. But I want to Write in your chat or come on. Why would we want to? Why would the Buddha say, this is skillful and wise? Why, what would be the reason? So when we can feel it, we can bring, let me get over to Courtney here. So when we feel it, we can bring awareness to it as an object, yes, rather than what, Courtney?
Than a story.
Rather than the narrative that's guaranteed to hurt you, isn't it? It's guaranteed because it looks true, it feels true, its thought is true, right? We buy into our thinking as true, real, and permanent, even, right? Even as I say it, it sounds nuts. But there we are going blah, 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 blah. And I did it on that plane, didn't I? There I was going, well, that was true, and this was true, and this other thing was true, equaling you're just a shitty mom, which is actually not true. It is also true. I have not been skillful. I have not been kind. I have not got it right. Sometimes I've gotten it really wrong. By the way, it wasn't because I didn't love my son. And I didn't trust that truth because of my own vulnerability. Likely, folks, what? My own fear, right? Likely my own fear, unrecognized, unattended to, maybe even denied, because I come from warrior Chicago carpenter clan, right? Like you don't do fear. You just go, whoa, full steam ahead. It offers us a landing place, says Kathy. Yes, we can rest one little moment at a time, can't we? In the breath, in the body sensation. We aren't sweeping up the whole of the body experience, even. We're resting in one pinpoint, contact point. Why? That's workable. We call those small bites. Everybody get this idea? You can't learn to swim in a tsunami, one of my favorite made up phrases, but you can't, can you? You're likely to drown. So where do we go? We go to the shallow end. And then we just go, you take your hand like this, and you cup it, and then you go like that, right? All workable in their smaller aggregate parts. This was the whole point, by the way, of the early meditation teachings. Workable with the body as the body, the thoughts as thoughts, and feelings as feelings. And we could parse them, right? And look at them. So I'll give you one more example, and then we're going to take the time to sit. Witnessing is reality. Witnessing, well, depending on what we're witnessing and how it can be. True presence, yes, Dennis, true. So if a tiger walks into a room, right, and you go, ah, a tiger, most of us would likely do that, right? And then you, rather than bring attention, rather than bring presence, rather than bring, right, what's happening here, what's happening interior, right? This is the way we make all monsters. But if you just saw the ears of the tiger, you'd go, interesting, pointy, furry, right? Oh, even fur on the inside. Oh, eyes. Actually, tiger eyes, if anybody's ever seen a tiger eye, they're stunningly beautiful, right? Oh, interesting. Varied color, orbital, intense, right? If we could just stay and name, we'd actually do better, says all teachings, all research, than if we went ah! And ran, where we are likely then eaten, fight or flight, right? And so just the stillness, creating calm, then assessing, calling out, right? That's what I asked you to do. And I even said, by the way, folks, you could call it out loud. I do better. Hearing myself. Go noticing tight belly, metal taste in my mouth, ears itchy, burning, right? I do better. assessing the reality of my present moment by doing so. We know for sure then also, just so you know, that when we even do that uh, observing, presence, attention directed externally, for those who have, for example, PTSD and high anxiety, we know that very process called name and describe can be quite calming. We aren't even in the body yet. We're just naming and describing an object exterior to, right, the body, thoughts. Does anybody know why? And then we're going to sit. Why would we go outside of the body at times to begin, not inside the body, where the Buddha has initially directed us? I got somebody on. Renee, why?
Well, it separates us from those thoughts and feelings.
The distressing thoughts and feelings, particularly in times of high distress, reactivity, particularly for people who get flooded, it's called, or activated in post-traumatic stress reactivity. We don't want them in the body where the heart rate may be at 160, where they may be clammy or sweating, where somebody's eyes have already overattended, where they thought they heard the monster, the bomb, the shot, right? And so we go, let's not go in here yet till we can calm it a little. We're going to now go exterior. And we're going to practice that for a moment today after our little bit of silence, just so we can see its benefit. It's actually quite striking. When could you do that practice then? Anytime. Couldn't you? While driving, right? Car in front of you at your stop. You're going, oh, interesting. Silver fenders, oval brake lights. You could do it just for a few breaths as a way of stabilizing. We do that actually as a desensitization technique with people who have fear of driving. Just stay in the car, right? And then we're going to practice our attention. All right. So I have Zoom up. By the way, I got it. So we're going to be able to do our work today. So we're going to get ready to sit. We are going to practice, though. After some moments of silence, we are going to go into the name and describe again, only because we're going to add that. The reason we're adding it is I want you to know what has triggered you into distress as well, right? I want you to see that it too is impermanent. It too is impersonal. It too is not substantial, fixed, right? Not just what the interior experience is, but also what am I thinking's the problem? Something often triggering me also from out there, not always, right? We don't want to, it's not always true. Okay. So let's prepare to sit, put everything down. And so making the way, gathering that attention, being gentle. And then finding that breath, and in your own way, in your own time, just taking a nice big in breath. You don't have to take it with me. You take your in breath. And then releasing it, resting. Feeling the difference between that tightened body and the easeful one. We'll do it again when you're ready, taking a big in breath. And then releasing. And let that ease draw you into the body, softening the front of the body, or keeping the back of the body upright, dignified. And then for a moment, making those contact points, and you can just do that with that very gentle sweep of the body. Where are the feet? I ask my third graders. Where are your feet? Can you feel them? Can you find your knees? Can you feel the felt sense of the seat and the back of the body in contact? With each out breath, we feel down and into grounding, rooting, stabilizing each out breath. And then with that in breath, that inspiration breath, we make contact with our uprightness, our nobility, in spirit, the spirit, our incarnation. We feel that expanding, rising, inflating, uplift. And this is a beautiful way to begin. And then we're going to rest in these breaths several moments, and then I'll continue. Watching for the tendency to control the breath, letting it go. You are the witness, the experiencing. watching where the mind is floating. It's very easy as we begin to stabilize just to fall into a bit of sloth or to get over attentive and to then get caught in managing or judging the breath. Remember, it isn't that that will or won't happen. We're just trying to stay engaged sufficiently in the direct experience of the breath. So we're going to narrow and tighten our focus a bit from that general felt sense of in and out breath, which is a beautiful beginning, to sharpen the attention now to some felt sense, a dominant, enlivened, embodied felt sense of the breath moving in and out of some area, smaller area, could even be a, a spot, anapanya, in the body. The truth is, we know the more deliberate, the more intentioned, the more circumscribed the area, the better attention, like naming the target, you can become. Some people have a practice of just noticing the very breath sensations at the end of the nostril. Our practice typically includes embodied practice, something between the chest, diaphragm, belly. If you can't find a particularly alive, present, available felt sense of the breath in the body. Mine happens to be just below the diaphragm today, little tiny bit off center to the left. I'm just going to place my attention there and see if I can't create a breath space. We don't have to tighten up on it. We want to create a little bit of room. And just rest the attention in that breath space. Noticing sensations as they come and go. You will notice the breath and the not breath, the movement of mind away from the anapanya, from that breath space into thinking, noticing sounds, noticing other sensations, noticing thoughts. And everyone knows the instruction, which is to recognize, be friendly, and simply return to the breath. With a stable mind, we will begin to cultivate a felt sense of calm, of unified mind body, a purified mind, a mind not spinning out in random thoughts or thoughts that can be disruptive. And now I'm going to ask that you open your eyes and turn towards an object in your space that captures the eye. And I'm going to use the mandala I have on the wall here. I'm going to give you very basic instruction for name and describe practice. We're going to be practicing this each one, at least once or twice on the spot each day this week. So you're turning towards your object, can be lower, higher, whatever. I'm just looking at the mandala. And so I would call that object by name. It is a decorative mandala. Then we're going to go ahead for a minute or two and just fully name and describe the object, now descriptor, as best you can with as much detail, as much picking for colors, size, shape, textures, where it's placed as you can. And this is called running it out. We're going to use as much languaging for 2 minutes as we can. So you're just going to do that for yourself. You guys are all on mute. I'm just going to do it for a second just to show you what it's like and then stop as well. So I named it my decorative mandala. I'm going to give you an idea. It is about a 3x3 circular, die cut, looks wooden, many layers. It's turquoise and blues and beiges and a pale orange. It looks like two jellyfish in a yin yang um, decorative swirl. I could go on and on. I'm going to keep doing that for myself. You're going to do it with your object now for at least another minute or so. Letting the descriptors become more sharpened and smaller as you go. You'll have to look a little keener. You'll have to focus a little more to pick up continued descriptors. This is good. you're going to have to then begin to select the parts of the object, not just the object as a whole. This is now discernment or keen attention for those aggregates of this object. I'm seeing things in this mandala that's been hanging for months that I haven't seen before. You're calling them out. Noticing the breath, seeing if we can't keep a restful, easeful breath. And then I'd like you to lower the eye, let the eye door begin to soften, reestablishing your sitting, and then letting the eye close if you can. We're going to eliminate the visual door. Coming back now to that area of the anapana, that breath space. Making contact once again, breathing in and out. Naturally, without fabrication, without management. And then I'd like you to bring that same fine attention to this area of the body, this breath space. First, noticing breathing in and then breathing out. And then noticing the texture of the breath, smooth or rough. And then noticing the length of the breath, long or short, each breath its own. Noticing particular sensations associated with the breath in this breath space. Are there additional sensations? I just noticed a kind of ache and then a tingling and then kind of a numbness. These were just some of the descriptors. Staying engaged as fully as you can. The breath may be so neutral, or the mind may be sufficiently scattered or distracted that you cannot pick up a particular experience in the in or out breath. And you're just noticing that we're not making a problem out of it. You may be in a lapse for a language, that's fine. Better to have the experience itself and work on the word later. You may also then notice particular thoughts as they arise in relationship to this breath space and our attention. Thoughts like, how long are we going to do this? I don't think I'm getting this right. What's the point anyway? Whatever you're thinking, I've got to get ready to leave. Just knowing a thought is a thought and coming back right into that direct experience. And then we're going to expand the breath space beyond that particular area into the whole of the softened front part of the body. Might include that diaphragm, belly, abdomen, maybe the chest as well. See what you can hold, what is workable terrain for you. And we're going to do the very same thing in that larger scape, the larger breath scape, the softened front of the body, making the target larger. Let's see what we can pick up. And you're holding that whole space then, letting the sensations speak to you. We're not looking for sensation. We're resting the attention in that larger space, seeing what happens, what comes, and what goes. And then, with intention on purpose, we're going to include not only that larger breath space, we're going to include any thoughts that arise. We're staying in the larger breath scape, resting the attention there, attending to sensations or lack of sensations, just noticing that, including particular thoughts as they arise. I just started coughing. The thought was, uh-oh, I'm going to disrupt everybody. Just noticing, coming back into the body. I really want to feel into the body now, because I had a mildly distressing uh-oh thought. Good to know. And then I'm coming into the body to see what reflective awareness may be available there. How might I know that distressing thought in this very breathscape? And I've got it, that left side of center, a little more intense contractedness. I've got a more shallow breath. My heart rate is up. I also have a little bit of a squeeze at the area of the between the diaphragm and the belly. A little extra squeeze at the bottom of the heart. And I'm calling those out on purpose, but I'm not moving away from the direct experience. So you've got to be watchful. There's a little toggle there. But your goal is to stay engaged in the sensations as best you can and noting them gently. I've got a little more activity now at the bottom of the heart, for example. I'm just staying with the breath, staying in this part of the body. We can also note those thoughts. Thought, oh, this is settling, was my thought. Thought, oh, it's spreading a little to the right side, back to the body. And then for just the last few moments of our practice, we're going to open the field wide. You can choose to open your eyes or not. I'm not going to. Just into the body. We're going to open to include thoughts. We're going to open to include any feeling tones or emotions, any sounds, any other felt sense, and just rest for a few minutes in the largest, most boundless expanse. Breathing into that vast open space. And out from it. We're letting go of the body as the only object. We're opening into this non-specific, choiceless awareness. Resting with whatever is here, whatever objects arise in that vast container. Skylight quality of mind. Everything is in a wave, just like the breath. Nothing solid, fixed, permanent, or only yours. Opening to include the whole body, the felt sense of the whole body sitting here. in this vast space. This whole body breathing. May each breath, may each moment of calm be offered to the merits and blessings of those in need. Calling those people to mind. May we include Marilyn, Felicia, all our loved ones or friends, and those we don't know. May they also be free from distress, have ease and well-being. And may it be so this very day, this very breath. So be it. Taking a moment, taking a sip. Checking in, just seeing how you are and how that practice was for you. Can anyone see the potential benefits? Libby's gone, yes, might see a couple benefits. This is stuff we know already, but we don't practice enough, by the way. And if we're going to be turning towards things that are ultimately have tendencies to trigger us or invite reactivity, we have to have this kind of stability and we have to practice it. So if we're thinking that we're going to turn towards fear without these resources, be careful, because the tiger then looks larger than life. It looms, and it's going to cause us unintended difficulty and suffering. So if you aren't practicing this, we're going to start today, right? Because if we can't pick up those aggregates, if we can't tolerate that stability of mind, if we can't place the mind in an object, hold it there for some number of breaths, name and describe it, we aren't going to be able to turn towards suffering. Or will we? We'll just drown. And there's no benefit there, right? And so for at least those 10 minutes, my preference would be 13. Why? Well, we just got research on our side for that one. We review. We start exactly why we did. You have this recording. It will be sent to you in order to follow along if you need to. Lois, I would like you to write me directly in chat and send me your email. I have a couple for you, and I want to make sure I send you the right one. Also, I did send you, Lois, the chapters, so I want to make sure you got those. Is there anyone else? Also write me if you don't have the chapters and you need that support with the email. I do know, Robin, we have your book. Any questions? Let's ask them. This is big practice. Don't look like you got it all together and then not do this the whole week. Better to ask. What's going on over there? What do you need? What's kind of clarification before we go to the chapter? Did anybody see its benefit? Let's start there. Renee's nodding. Yeah, Kathy saw its benefit. Yes, Lois, thank you. I'm going to check to make sure I've got that right. Lois, I need that email just to be sure, so write to me.
I have a question.
Yeah, Libby has a question.
So would the goal then for those 10, 13 minutes to be to run through the whole cycle? To go from, right, just the breath sensation or one area and then start to expand.
Name and
over?
describe.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes, so Libby's asking a right question. She said, should I try to run through the whole cycle? Well, that's a big word, but you at least want to do this. Make contact with the breath. Stabilize in the breath for at least a minute or two. Then you're going to open, because remember, we're looking for also opening to understanding the impermanent nature, the non-substantial nature, the impersonal nature of the objects out there. Name and describe. Come back into the body, felt sense, expand somewhere. Is it the breathscape? Is it the body as a whole? You might not make it to open infinite spacious in 13 minutes. That's okay. If you can, right? But that'd just be a minute or two per element. You see what you can do with that. But you saw what we did, right? You know, you begin with the breath, you then open to include the visuals, something external, back into the breath, enlargen the breathscape, see what's happening in there. And then also see if there's room, time to expand to the open space. May not be. I want to check here. Increased anxiety, but see its benefits. Yes, we often do feel more anxious as we turn towards the reality of this human life. I agree. I'm not looking to reduce anxiety at this point, Robin. That's not the practice. Can I stay with myself in it? That's the practice. Can I abide? Can I just keep naming body sensations? You're going to learn a lot about your anxiety, where it is and where it isn't, by virtue of these practices. That is the idea. And so you're staying as best you can. If you can't stay, move out. You might be getting activated by your very body sensations. It's the number one trigger for anxiety is your own body. Incredible. Not the thing around you, your own, I feel like my heart's, now I feel like my choke's, now I feel like my stomach's sick. Thank you, Lois. So just know that we're actually triggering ourselves by our own body experience. We're going to learn a little better how to abide it rather than get reactive to it. Thank you, Lois. That isn't the one I have, so I appreciate that. I had at Gmail. So you may not have, Lois, the chapters. I will resend to you. Any other questions? These are good, and then we're going to go to the chapter.
Just one thing, Di, because this was quite a few years ago when you and I were talking, and I was discussing I was still in the very first stages of dealing with my cancer. And, one of the things you said was, just stay with the not wanting, see the energy in the not wanting. And it was such a pithy, lesson and teaching. It was just perfect, and it stuck with me, and I used that.
Yes. And did you notice, Greg, how it grew courage, bravery, and fearlessness?
It certainly has, and yet, all this time, it's still they're still there.
Yeah.
I can't say that I like it.
Yeah, I don't think it's required. Good
Uh-uh.
news. I don't think we have to like too much about the aspects of the unpleasant, the painful, and the conditions of suffering. I just want us all to know we are capable of being with them in a way that will contribute to their end. I don't think, as in Robin's case, I don't think we have to feel good yet. We will, and I'm certain about this, Greg, as you are, that there was of infinite benefit, even when the anxiety doesn't go away for life, because that's not my expectation in my own life. I'm not imagining a life where I never have any distress. I don't think it's reasonable. So then what's the next best? Well, could I then use it as a part of the path? Turn the poison into good medicine, says Pema, without, because I'm never going to get away from it. Am I? It would be a lie. Cancer or not. Right, Greg? The truth is, life continues to unfold in a way that there are things we don't want, things we don't like, things we wouldn't pick, and that's all okay. We just want to know we're doing that. I think that can be really helpful. I'm going to check. Okay, let's get to the chapter. I'm going to pull it up for us now. And I have it. I feel very excited about this, folks, that today's the day it actually works. Can anybody see that? Yeah. Thanks, Courtney. So this is part 1, The Way of the Warrior. I'm going to go back just one little piece because I want to show you his beginning definition of warriorship. So here is part 1, The Way of the Warrior. Can everybody see that? And here's what he had to say. I'm only going to speak to those underscored. Becoming a warrior and facing yourself is a question of honesty, forthrightness. I want to be careful about honesty, accuracy, right? Rather than condemning yourself. This is what we call friendliness, isn't it? That we're friendly with the truth. And that's really the definition of honesty. He uses the word honesty here, but he's really saying if there is condemnation, I want you to really get what he's saying. If you're in judgment, if you're in criticism, if you're in blame, if you're in wanting or not wanting, you cannot be accurate and honest. That's a big statement, actually, isn't it? You have to recognize the obscuration of the mind. You can't just go hateful, but I can be honest about what's happening. The answer is no, you can't. No, you can't. And so Robin's statement, how wonderful for Robin to know. I was noticing anxiety. Well, what can I know? Well, in the face of that distress, I will be less likely to accurately see, assess, and hold than if I am in calm or ease. It doesn't mean we're always going to be there. It just means watch for that quality of mind because it is going to not be clear. It's not your fault. It's the nature of anxiety, fear, distress. And right. So it's a very big statement. You wouldn't get it there.
So more like clear seeing.
Clear seeing.
Rather.
Yes. Is very critical here. This is what he's defining as honesty, this clear seeing with compassion reality. This is not necessarily cutting yourself down. Simply discover what is there. He calls it simply, I wish. Simply see that the body is the body, thoughts is thoughts, and then stop. Don't continue the narrative, is what he's saying. Don't continue, because then you are lost in the samsara, or the sea of suffering. Does everybody get this? I'm going to come back and look at the screen. You know what he's saying here? Right? That's what honesty really means. He doesn't really mean honesty as opposed to lying. He means really honesty as opposed to the narrative habit of mind that gets in there and shuts us down so that we cannot see clearly. The tiger. Well, we can see yet the ears. We can see the fangs. We can see the tail. We're going to be more likely to be able to be honest. And he doesn't mean deceptive. He means lost in the narrative, just so we're clear. Here we go with chapter 1. You can see what I've underlined. It's quite a bit here. He talks about warriorship here. And this is his definition. Anyone who is interested in hearing the truth, I don't think hearing is the only word. Knowing, experiencing, abiding the truth, which is called the Dharma. Anyone who is interested in finding out about themselves, and anyone who is interested in practicing the path, that's the way I'm going to define that, is a warrior. We've already defined warrior as gentle, peaceable, non-aggressive. So we don't need to get caught there. When people are embarrassed by themselves, there is no fearlessness involved. If someone's willing to look, this is the path to true waking up, right? He uses warrior as a Tibetan term, Pawa, Pawo, I thought it was pronounced Pawa, so this is interesting. That might just be the way Chewang says it. And it means a person who is brave. Actually, just so you know, the definition of that for me is a person who is willing to look. That was the definition of bravery. The person who is willing to look. Quite brave, but I don't want us to think that somehow we just package up bravery. Not true. The person who is willing to look is the brave one, is the fearless one. And it doesn't mean that you're running into the burning building. We're going to take that in parts. Warriorship is based on overcoming cowardice. Remember, be careful of the terms. He doesn't mean you're weak. He doesn't mean you're failed. He means you're wounded. He means you're caught in habit. He means you're buying into the storyline. So be careful. Remember, he uses language that we want to make sure we don't add judgment to it. That's not his intention. The ground of warriorship is fear itself. I love this phrase. In order to be fearless, first, we have to find out what fear is. Critical. The ground of warriorship is fear itself. Good news, right, Robin? You didn't have to get rid of anything. In order to be fearless, it is the turning towards the direct experience, calling it out in its parts, abiding slowly with friendliness, compassion, and clear seeing. Fear is nervousness, anxiety, a sense of inadequacy. These are part of the narratives. A feeling that we may not be able to deal with the challenges of our life, particularly when this moment. Not this one, Greg said. Not with cancer. Nope, 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 nope. And what did I say? Abide the not wanting. Abide the fear. Abide the resistance. Abide, right? Can I breathe into the belly that goes, I don't want this. I'm not in the mood. This is fearlessness at work, right there. Where does fear come from? It comes from basic bewilderment, delusion. Remember, something like this shouldn't be happening would be one of the delusions. This isn't fair to me. Why is this happening to me when it doesn't happen to others? Remember, oh no, suffering is an equal opportunity reality. Where does basic bewilderment come from? It comes from being unable to unify. The mind and body is the word I'm going to use, so you don't get stuck and harmonize. Unify. Mind and body together, knowing what? Wholeness, everything we need to know. Because body is what? A reflection of a quality of mind. Always, forever. It is a reflection of a quality of mind. It is not a standalone experience. So anxiety is not, it did not come to get you. You are, whether in conscious or intentioned or not, co-creating an experience. Now, that doesn't mean you're bad. That doesn't mean you're failed. It means if you could see that, then you could slowly begin to unlock, right, the path to the end of suffering. So the problem begins in a very simple way. When body and mind are unsynchronized, you feel like a character, it means a one-dimensional, just failed, just incomplete, just messed up, an idiot or a clown. Here he says, setting sun mentality, having completely lost track of the basic harmony of being human. What does he mean? He means the basic interconnectedness, the basic interbeing of everything. You cannot be separated from this life. So what must you do in order to feel alone? Separate yourself. Libby's laughing. You, quality of that mind, I don't even want to call it you. The quality of that mind is separating me from this inherent reality of being connected, interconnected to everything, could not be any other way. Life will never abandon you. Does it mean you like it? Nope. Does it mean you have to? No. But life didn't go meh for you. It did not. And we then have to look at the quality of our own heart minds. What is pulling us, contracting us? Because the minute a contraction happens, look what we did. We separated, didn't we? So the east is the smile you have when you wake up. The sun is about to rise, fresh, new, every moment. And he calls this the great eastern sun of one's life. One of the main obstacles to fearlessness is the habitual pattern that allows us to deceive ourselves. One of the main obstacles to ease, to abiding, to fearlessness is the pattern of falling into the well of our own believed thoughts of what? Separation, disconnect, right? That's quality of our own mind. And we separated from ourselves. You have to get to that. If you could keep the mind in your own body, there is no doorway eventually to that. Experiencing the innermost core of existence is embarrassing to a lot of people. Why? We have to face our vulnerabilities, don't we? We all have to go, it's true. I fell. I got caught. I got gripped. And then I often cultivated or created more harm, not only for me, sometimes for me and others. We have to face our fear. We have to look at it, study it, work with it, and practice meditation with it. What he means is what? Stillness, a capacity for mindfulness. We also have to give up the idea of a divine savior. Now, this may be activating for some folks, so I wanted to address this, which has nothing to do with what religion you belong to, but refers to this idea that something else is going to fix it, save us from our own what? Minds. It doesn't mean you don't get to pray. I don't mean that. He doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean you don't have a sense of the divine in this human life. I hope you do. And let it be, if nothing else, life itself and your inherent participation in it, that you are this. Giving up that kind of false hope is the first step, that someone else is going to fix this distressed mind for you. Cannot happen. It has to be you. Doesn't mean we can't get supports. You can't lead that kind of double life, adopting ideas, techniques, and concepts with the idea that they will work. They don't work. You have to have the practice itself, which is why, what? 10 to 13 minutes a day. If you're not doing it, great ideas never going to help you. Hoping that you have a nice sleep under anesthetics, by the time you wake up, everything will be sewn up. Just not true. If you want to hurt yourself by indulging in setting sun neuroses. He calls that negativity a little bit too, very fairly confusing. That is your business. Nobody can save you from you. But you are bound to regret it later when you let that proliferation of mind run, because it's going to harm you and others. We prefer to hurt ourselves. That's a pretty important statement. Feel better. Seems to feel better to pursue our habitual patterns than to help ourselves, right? This is not really what we want, but we're caught in a certain kind of, remember, delusion and an addictive process. I'll just try that one more time, see if it works. Now, I've done this endlessly, over and over and over. Like, wow, I keep opening my mouth. This is stunning to me, because I know, but I have to know more than here, right? This is not sufficient. I have to feel the distress, recognize the distress, and then attend to it, because there's not enough knowing here to attend to that heart body. At the time you heard it, these things you may have seemed unskillful. It's guaranteed pretty well. Here is another. The point is that when you give up privacy, that is the only time you can be with yourself. There's a semantic problem with the word privacy. It is not really privacy. I need my privacy usually means there is shame involved, there is disconnect, there is a sense of separation, and we're nourishing it or feeding it. The privacy does not exist. It does not exist. Why? Interconnectedness, interbeing. Everyone already knows, because they too feel this, don't they? Everybody knows. I know it. You know it. We don't have to lie. The only way to relax is to open your own heart. We know this as a compassionate action. Remembering our basic goodness. We've talked about that. Worthwhile, wholesome, deserving. That goodness, that basic goodness is, he says, synonymous with bravery. What he means is we are capable of this. And our own inherent goodness, directing us towards the end of suffering, is a path. You begin to realize that there is non-aggression happening all around you. Can you see the goodness, the freshness, the interconnected reality of life? I use this frequently as an antidote to my fear. So when I was on that plane going, this thing's going down, I'm going to be remembered as a, right, blah, 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 got all caught, ego caught in that remembering idea. I looked around and said, where can I see the goodness in this life? Right on this plane, it was everywhere. Now, by the way, I couldn't yet see me connected to it. That was where the work was. I could see it. That counts for something. It is not sufficient. You eventually have to see yourself as, remember, inherent, interconnected, unable to be separated from that goodness. Oh, but the mind, right, looks like it can make it happen. Something exists in us that is basically awake as opposed to asleep. The Tathagata, which is a term that means the all-knowing, awakened, worthy one. Just so we know, you'll see that term on occasion, Tathagata. Buddha nature exists in us all. And because of that, we are here. Your basic Buddha nature brought you here. I love that because it's true. I want to get one more line here. Meditation is the path. He says the key, the path to seeing yourself as well as to seeing, this is the other phrase I love, beyond yourself. Very important line, is the key to seeing yourself and then seeing yourself in connection, in interconnection with everything else. That's the beyond. And it is not other, it is also you. We're going to stop there. We're going to go to meditation, touch and go chapter 2 next week. Lois is going to get that chapter. The practice is the one I have just called out for you, name and describe. That is where the work is, 10 to 13 minutes. I will write that for you. Critical, critically important. Please do not believe, if you understand the ideas, that this is going to help you. No, 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 no. There's a lot of great ideas you've thought. You have. I promise you. I know you have. It does not lead to the end of suffering. It cannot. It is the same deluded mind. It cannot work for you. I don't want that for anyone. I know you have done it because I've done it for years. I get this. I get this. So I don't have to practice because I get it. If you're not practicing, you didn't get anything, did you? You can't. It's an experience. It is not an idea. Without experience, there is no path. There is no teaching. There is no end to suffering. Somebody write that down. Without the practice, there is no path. There is no teaching. All the great ideas. No, there is no truth to the end of suffering. And I want that for all of us. Any questions before we go? I know we start a little late. Thank you all for hanging. Anything else we've got to know? Got a question? I will write the summary. Just let me know if you didn't get the chapter, if you need it. I'm looking at everybody here, and I know some people already left. I think everybody right now, but Lois has the chapters. I'm going to assume that that is true. I want to thank you all for being here for this practice today. You're going to try to review this recording. It's going to be sent to you. If you have any questions about the practice, we are going to be doing this practice again on Saturday. We're not going to abandon it too quickly because it has some component parts that I want to make sure that you get. In addition, I'll be making my lemon shortbread cookies to get people in the room. This is low sugar, monk fruit sugar, and hopefully workable. All right. You're so welcome, everyone. You're so welcome. Thank you so much. May we all have happiness, peace, equanimity, and see the path to the end of suffering. So be it. Love to you all. Be well, everyone. You'll get this today. Thanks so much. See you on Thursday with Greg and on Saturday here in the garden.